With type 1 diabetes, the body no longer produces insulin. So the body's automatic process for converting food into fuel doesn't work. And that's a problem. Let's take a closer look. When a person with type 1 diabetes eats something, whether it's a muffin, meatloaf, or mango, the food begins its normal journey into the digestive system. When it reaches the small intestine, it's broken down into all kinds of nutrients, including glucose, which are absorbed into the bloodstream. Now, normally at this point, the pancreas would start releasing insulin. But in people with type 1 diabetes, this doesn't happen. The body's autoimmune system has destroyed the cells in the pancreas that produce insulin. Without insulin, the body can't use the glucose for fuel. So glucose starts building up in the bloodstream, and the body's blood glucose levels quickly start to rise. Without this fuel, the body can't function. People with high blood glucose tend to feel very tired and maybe even disoriented or sick to their stomach. In fact, most people who have type 1 diabetes begin to realize something's wrong when they start noticing some obvious symptoms. Beyond feeling tired, you may be extremely thirsty no matter how much you drink and need to go to the bathroom all the time. A very sudden drop in weight is also a telltale sign. If you have these symptoms, you should check with a doctor immediately. A simple test can tell you whether you have type 1. So what happens if you do have type 1 diabetes? Well, for starters, you need to do on your own what your brain and pancreas used to do automatically. Since your pancreas isn't producing its own insulin, you'll need to play that role by injecting insulin into your body a few times a day. Don't worry, the shots aren't as big and scary as you might imagine. These days, insulin needles are tiny and go just under the skin. Instead of shots, some people get their insulin through a small wearable pump. It's just another way of getting your body the insulin it needs. Keeping those blood glucose levels in balance is really important for both your daily well-being and your long-term health. Beyond taking insulin, living with type 1 has other considerations. You need to think about what you eat and keep track of the carbohydrate value of the foods you're consuming. Every carbohydrate you eat is broken down into glucose. So by knowing carb values, you'll know which foods raise your blood glucose levels the most. Your diabetes educator is also a great resource for meal planning. You also need to be aware of your physical activity. Being active is good, but it typically affects your blood sugar levels, so you need to pay extra attention and be ready to respond. You'll also need to test your blood glucose levels frequently to be sure you're staying in a healthy range. By testing, you can see how different foods and activities affect your blood glucose levels, and you'll be able to make the appropriate adjustments to get back into balance. Living with type 1 diabetes isn't easy. In fact, a lot of times it's really tough. But with the right information and support, and by working closely with your healthcare team, you'll feel a lot more confident and hopefully more equipped to live a happy, healthy life. And that's what HealthSimple is all about.